All right, hello everybody, and welcome to this meeting of Fresno City Toastmasters, an actual meeting this time. Last week there was a bit of a glitch and the meeting did not really happen. So this is take two for our guest, Sarah, who actually gets to experience a real meeting now. I'm going to read off our mission statement to start. This is the mission of Toastmasters International and also the guide that our club goes by. Our mission is to provide a supportive and positive learning environment to empower our members to develop communication and leadership skills, which results in greater self-confidence and personal growth. As I said, we have a guest joining us today on Zoom, Sarah, so everybody can give a welcome to her. Thank you for being here. Some of the rules that we try to go by for everybody who's joining on Zoom is to keep yourself muted unless called upon. And instead of out loud applause, since that can cause a lot of feedback and kind of a ruckus over Zoom, we use jazz hands to symbolize applause for people when they're done speaking. I feel like this, was there a question? No, okay. I feel like this meeting is a little bit bittersweet for me because it is the last meeting that I am opening and closing as president. I think everybody knows the Toastmaster year begins again on July 1st. So next week we will have our new president come in, who is going to be Joey, for at least the second time. Joey, how many times have you been president now?
It'll be the second time, yep.
The second time, yep. And we'll have our transition of all of the board members, which we talked about in our last meeting. So Joey will be president. I am going to take on the VP of Education, which was Farron's role before she had to leave us. And Sarah's going to do mentorship. There's doing media public relations. Cindy is our secretary. Joey is going to continue also the treasurer role. And then I'm currently fulfilling the sergeant at arms duties. So, Denny, are you having trouble hearing me?
I just slowed down for a minute.
The internet, I think, on your side.
I had also turned the fan on because it's very hot in here, but that might be giving feedback into the mic also, so I'll just keep it off. So changing of board members, again, anyone who is a club member who is interested in serving on the board or even trying it out, let us know. We're definitely open to that and always welcome more hands. The second order of business is our continued facility search. So we've been talking about for a while looking for a new place to meet, somewhere that has more consistent air conditioning and is perhaps a little bit more centrally located for people. So Denny and Sarah and myself and I, last Friday, we checked out a couple of the libraries in Fresno. And one of them is looking promising, I think, as a potential meeting spot. So I think as a board, we need to just get together and finalize and make sure that that's what we want to do moving forward. But more information on that will continue to be forthcoming. Did Denny or Sarah, did either of you want to say anything on that point?
We had so much fun. We went to 2 different libraries. Joey, sorry to say, the one not closest to you the one closest to you doesn't have internet for us. So anyway, but we'll talk more about it. But I think we have a good possibility.
What are the two? Is it 2 places that you
We're going to get library cards.
Darn. So where are those places at?
We were like, the one that's the most promising is the Betty Rodriguez Library, which is over on Shields and what's the other cross street, Shields and Cedar area. And so it's not too far off the 168, so it's easily accessible by freeways. It has an 8-person and a 10-person room, and then once we get a little bit bigger, there's also a 49-person room, so we can do that. They have great internet and great staff were there. So
and parking.
Oh yeah, free parking. That's the other great thing. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So just putting that out there, we'll have to continue to finalize the plans, but we'll let everybody know when we figure it out. Okay. And for our agenda for today, Beth is not going to be able to give her speech. I'm not going to be able to give my speech because just time and being able to plan that. And I stare at my computer like all day long. And so sometimes in the evenings when I may have time to plan a speech, it's just staring at my computer and writing a speech is not the next thing that I'm going to do. So I apologize for that, but it will happen eventually because it's my last speech in my pathway, and I definitely do want to finish and have that accomplished. So it looks
Do you want me
like,
to take over table topics since Mike Ellis didn't look like he's coming either?
yep, that would be great, Joey.
Okay.
And Mike was also down for grammarian. So if somebody would be able to jump in on that real quickly, that would be good also.
Heather?
Thank you. Okay, everybody else is here. So with that introduction, then I'm going to pass the podium over today to our Toastmaster, Ms. Sarah Dawson.
Thank you so much, Chanel. And thank you everybody for coming. It's wonderful to see you all. We're talking about fatherhood because last week was really close to Father's Day, and it's just a celebration of that. And fathers seem to have just such a significant role in our lives. When people are without them, it makes it very difficult. I see that all the time where I work, where they, kids grow up without fathers, or even the women who come to us. I work for those who don't know, I work at a shelter for women and single women and for women with children. And you can just see the difference it makes without having that comfort and that care around them, to be able to, because there's just something that a father provides that mothers cannot, and vice versa. There's something that mothers can provide and fathers cannot. And it was just made me think of all of the terms that we give to people who are fathers. So like the father of psychology, it's like the person who started it, who made it so important, and it's just kind of looked up to as the icon. In Christianity, we refer to God as our Father, and there's just so much significance in being able to call somebody our Father. I don't know that we have a father for Toastmasters or who that would be, or somebody who has inspired it. I'm not sure on the history, so maybe I'll have to look that up someday. But just as you go forward today, I'm hoping that you recognize those people that are in your life that have been such a great influence and have started that, and who inspire you. So thank you, and I will turn it over to our general evaluator.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm really looking forward to this topic today and seeing how we work it into our theme of our table topics. I'll be now introducing our leaders of the day, which will be taking on the roles of grammarian, all-counter, timer, Zoom master, and table topics master. Our grammarian of the day, if I'm not mistaken, is Ms. Heather. All right, Heather.
Thank you, Ms. Kaylani. So to keep it simpler, I didn't want to go off the rails with a very different word other than fatherhood, but I wanted to have somewhat of a challenge to try and fit a word in there other than just dad or father. So the word for the day that you'll find in the chat is patriarch, which is the male head of a family or tribe. So if you could try and fit that into your table topics or any opportunity you have while speaking, I'll be keeping track. And at the end of the meeting, I'll let you know if you were able to slip that into conversation. So I'll pass it back to Ms. Kaylani.
Perfect. Thank you, Heather. And just as a tidbit, it might be easier to remember the word if you write it down and it's in eyesight throughout your speech or whenever you speak today. I will next introduce our all-counter, Ms. Chanel West.
Thank you, Kalani. I'm going to be the all-counter today, which means that my job will be to help keep us accountable to not using crutch words when we're speaking. One of the goals of Toastmasters is to help improve confidence and eloquency, or eloquency is not a word. Also, to use correct words would be a great goal. to help improve confidence and eloquence in our speaking. And part of developing confidence is not using so many crutch words or filler words like and, but, so, all of those things that we might stick into our pauses. So I will be keeping track of those today, and at the end of the meeting, I will give a report. Thank you, Kalani.
Thank you, Madam President. And I did not know eloquency was not a word. Learned something new today. I will pass the podium to our timer of the day, Ms. Denny Mason.
I'm going to be keeping track of time today, and I downloaded an app. I think we're on 2-minute speeches today. Is that correct? With our table topics. So we'll be running for 2 minutes, then there'll be a warning at 1 minute, then a warning at 30 seconds. Stop at 2. And I'll just kind of hold this up. I think you can everybody see colors there?
Yeah, just hold it up in front of you, Denny, because when it kind of goes off to the side, it goes into your blurred background. Oh, it went into blur.
Oh, very clever. Thank you,
There
Joey.
you go. There you go.
Yep, I got it. Okay, I'll put it right in front of my face. All right, thank you, Joey. I'll turn this back over to you.
Thank you, Denny. What a nifty app. Our next person is going to be our Zoom master. Is it still going to be you, Chanel? My apologies.
It'll be me, Kalani.
All right, Joey. And I will go ahead and pass the podium to you.
And to answer Sarah Dawson's question about the patriarch of Toastmasters, it's Ralph C. Medley. And you can thank Google for that. I did a quick Google search on that. So Ralph C. Medley. For the Zoom Master, what's nice on when we went online with, since 2020, is we used to film using a regular camera, our normal live meetings. And now with the Zoom, it's easy because we can just send the recording up to the cloud and then we upload it to YouTube. And that's always a big help for those that find us locally on YouTube. They're looking Fresno City Toastmasters, just kind of want to see how a meeting goes. And so we have on our YouTube channel, we have a bunch of videos from our meetings so people get a good idea of our members and how those meetings go and things like that. And what's nice about this is that if you have a speech or you have an evaluation that you're giving on a speaker, or you're doing table topics, or you have a role, you can look at the video, go back and look at it and see if there's things that you're doing that might be taken away from your message. And it could be anything from where you're looking, if you're not looking square into the camera, which is pretty unique to being online, or when we're live, being able to make eye contact with everybody in the room, how you're using your space in this little box. So some cool things and feedback that you can get from the recorded message that we do. So I'm just going to make sure that whoever's speaking, that when we do table topics, when we do a speaker, the speaker is going to be in the middle frame. But when you do table topics, it's nice. We like to have the pane of people around so you can see the faces of everybody and you can get some of that feedback from people if you're a little bit more apt to tell a joke or something like that, just so you can get a read of the audience. So I'll be doing that on Zoom today. Back to you, Kaylani.
Thank you. I apologize. I'm switching between screens here. I will be passing it straight to our Toastmaster of the day. No, if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Sarah Dawson, to introduce our speaker.
Yes, and our speaker wasn't able to make it today. So normally we have prepared speeches. We don't have any prepared speeches today, so we're going to move right on to table topics, which is always lots of fun. We get to hear new things, and Joey, you get to talk some more. There you go.
Thank you, Miss Sarah Dawson. So this is one of my favorites, and this is, again, Toastmasters wears many hats. Sometimes we have people on the agenda and they just aren't able to make it, and we have to fill in sometimes a role within 15 minutes. And like with Heather, with the grammarian, she had to find a word of the day where we didn't have a grammarian before. And in this case, table topics. But my always go to, my favorite, in which table topics is, I think back in the day with the Ralph C. Smedley, table topics was where you had 2 minutes to speak. And like Denny said, you have 1 minute till you hit green, minute and a half, you hit yellow, and then 2 minutes, you hit red, and you should be starting to wrap it up at that point. But they looked at originally at the current events, and they would take a debatable topic and they would have somebody speak on it for 2 minutes, and then they'd have the other person do the opposite side. So there's different ways that table topics comes out. The benefit and value of table topics in Toastmasters is if you were in an interview for a job or an interview to get a raise, or if a reporter sticks a mic in front of your face, asks you a question, to be able to take an idea or thought and be able to organize it in a short amount of time and be able to deliver something that is somewhat coherent, that has some sort of value to whoever it is that is on the other end of that conversation. And that's really the benefit of table topics. I think besides the speeches in Toastmasters is probably the second most important, at least to me, in my opinion, skill that you learn here. So that's what we'll be doing. And how we're going to do it is the fun part. And what I like to do is I have a list of 365 questions for every day of the year. And you won't know beforehand what the question is. They're simple. I said that last time and I got in trouble because I said there's no meaning of life questions. And then there were some meaning of life questions, but they aren't too bad. They aren't that bad, right? They're not Aristotle-esque type patriarchal, if that's a word, Janelle, our wordsmith. Not those kind of questions, but they require a little bit of thinking. And then what I do is either you pick a number between 1 and 365, if you have a special number there that you play in Powerball, or we could have the Google random number generator pick a number for you. So just let me know. We're going to volunteer at first. And then if there are no volunteers, oh, Sarah's jumping right in. Sarah D, not Sarah T. She's jumping right in.
Right.
Don't swallow your tongue, Sarah T. All right. That wasn't you first. All right, Sarah, what do you want to do? Do you want to pick your number, or do you want to random number?
You said there was one for every day of the year. Are they labeled by date? Because I want November 22nd.
No, not labeled by day.
Oh, well, then we'll try 302.
302. Boom. All right. Let me see here. Let me pull this up. 302. You're going to make me scroll all the way down this list here, Sarah. Here we go. 302. All right. You ready? I'm going to read it 2 times. So 302 question. What simple gesture have you recently witnessed that renewed your hope in humanity? One more time. What simple gesture have you recently witnessed that renewed your hope in humanity?
Wow. That's a good question. I think you should have asked me yesterday, because today's a harder day. Sometimes when you have a hard day, then it's harder to see that, but it's a really good question, because there are so many times and throughout life, and there's so many different things that you can see that are good, and that you can see people who inspire hope and who do that. I think one of the things that was most important to me that kind of renewed my hope is I had texted my best friend late night one night. She lives a couple hours away. He wasn't there. Yeah, well, she was sleeping already because it was late night. And then the very next morning, she just called and she just texted and said, "Hi, I'm sorry, I was sleeping. I couldn't get to you." But just that, knowing that you have a friend out there that will be there at the top of the hat to pray with you or to talk with you and just encourage you. And I just really needed it yesterday. And so it just renewed my hope and kept me going, because I had a lot of hard stuff to do at work yesterday. And so I think friends being there for each other is one of the things. And there's lots of them, but that's just the first one that came to mind. So thank you, Joey.
Love that. Thanks for sharing that, Sarah. Yeah, I know how that is. Some days are harder than others. And I always love that saying that without the bitter, the sweet ain't so sweet. All right. Anybody else want to jump up on the boards? Heather.
Do it.
All right. What do you got your own number in mind, or do you want the Googles to do it?
Let's let Google do it.
The Googles. All right, here we go. Generate 300. Wow. What are the odds of that? 300. So close to Sarah. Okay. Question. What is your favorite sound? One more time. What is your favorite sound? And you can take that however you want. That could be music. That could be anything.
What is my favorite sound? I find comfort in nature sounds. If I have trouble falling to sleep, I do like to pick a podcast or Spotify that does have like the drops of rain into the ocean, crashing waves. I definitely would have to say is probably a favorite if I have to pick. Just water is very calming. I find it soothing. It makes me feel at ease. I want to move somewhere closer to the water. My husband and I, we've always talked about how anytime we move, it's always going to be somewhere along the coast, that we refuse to landlock ourselves. That's how much we love water. And I find that just being around water, being in the water, just hearing it, it really does provide that sense of peace and that comfort. And I enjoy just being around that. Especially for me, the perfect setting would be like a gloomy, overcast kind of misty day along the coast or in the forest, and have maybe a lake next to you and having the running water. That to me is just like the best type of day. I would be lost in that forest forever on purpose. So I'd have to say running water is probably my favorite sound.
I completely agree. Completely agree. Especially when the weather is 103, 105, 110, what you're used to, and you get that nice little 40-degree break and the not quite as sun cooking you, like you feel like an egg.
And that's why I love the mist too. It kind of has that creepy, cool factor at the same time too.
Like a cool blanket, like a cool blanket. Cool. Thanks, Heather. Anybody else? Kehlani,
Oh, goodness.
number or Google number?
Let's try 222.
222. Good one. That's the angel numbers, right? It's all the same number. All right, here's a question. When you look back over the past month, what single moment stands out? Again, when you look over the past month, what single moment stands out?
My birthday is at the end of May, which I know is a little bit longer than a month, but who is counting an extra week or two? My sister is pregnant with her very first child. My parents are finally going to be grandparents, and the patriarch of our family has easily become a new person that I've never seen before in my life. I don't know what happens when you become a grandparent, but it is completely different than becoming a parent, because I can tell you right now, I've never seen my father so excited. My sister and I have had a rocky relationship. We actually had a falling out 3 or 4 years ago. And yet the first person that she told that she was pregnant to was me. To say that I am excited to see this baby enter our family is an understatement, to the point where I'm actually trying to relocate to be closer to her and her growing family. I am counting the days on my phone to when the baby arrives, and 2 weeks from now is not coming fast enough. It is all I think about. It is all I text her about. I don't even care about talking to her. I just want to see that baby. And it has changed my perspective for the better, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Kehlani.
Of course.
That is one of the, I think, quintessential things here at Toastmasters is we learn to share, because we all have stories, and those stories have to be told to help others and things like that. And so we really encourage those kind of stories. I know sometimes you're not ready to share something like that or be vulnerable or anything, but as you get better in Toastmasters, those are the best stories, the ones that there is some emotion involved, there's some passion involved. And that is, so thank you. Kalani, for sharing
Sorry, I
that.
forgot to say that I went to go see her for my birthday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, sorry.
But
That was the
2
first time
weeks,
I've been out there in like 3 years.
but 2 weeks is when the baby's going to be born. That's the date, the due date. And where is she at?
She's in Riverside.
Okay. So you got a possible move.
Yeah.
Very cool. Exciting times.
Very.
I'm sorry, I have to ask, what's the baby's name, or does she not know yet?
So in my family, we like to be difficult. We don't like to know the sex of our baby.
That's fair.
So my mom didn't find out. She is not finding out. And hopefully when it's my turn, I won't find out to the day of.
I feel the same way. My parents didn't know what I was either, and I kind of want that to be secret whenever I do. So,
Yep.
well, best wishes to your family.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Very much. Mr. Mike Ellis just showed up. Hello, Mr. Mike. And just to let you know, we got the table topics, and we're doing the old 365, you pick a number or Google picks a number and read the question. So just kind of giving you an update of where we're at.
Sounds lovely. Is there someone ahead of me?
Did you want to jump in?
I'll give you about 2 minutes to go to the other room and I'll jump in.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anybody else want to go before Mike? Chanel.
I can go.
All right, Chanel, your number or Google's number?
Well, firstly, I'm very curious that Sarah wanted to do November 22nd because that's my birthday. Is that your birthday, Sarah?
Maybe that's, you probably just told me that recently, and that was a number that was stuck in my head. That was just a date that was stuck in my head.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking, oh, my birthday. And then I thought, well, I guess I could do 222, but then Kalani took that. So
Bam.
I decided I'm going to do 77 because 7 is the number of completion, the perfect number.
All right, 77 it is. And 77, where would you most like to go and why? Again, where would you most like to go and why?
I will answer this question in the traditional travel sense. If I could travel anywhere in the world that I've never been to, there's many places that I would like to go, but the top location that has been in my mind for the past few years is to go to the Alps, specifically in Bavaria, which is southern Germany, and Switzerland, and then Western Austria, that whole region where the Alps are encompassed. I really love to hike, and just the pictures that I have seen of those areas are incredibly beautiful. The Sound of Music is also my favorite movie, and for those of you who know that movie, at the end of it, they hike off over the Alps, and just stunning, beautiful visual footage throughout the whole thing. I would love to experience that. 2 years ago, I actually had a trip planned to go to Europe, and specifically to go to the Alps and do a bit of backpacking. However, that was summer of 2020. And as we all know, everybody's plans got crushed that year. And so the trip did not happen, and it has not been the right time in my life yet to try to make that happen again. I am hopeful that one day, though, I can do that and make that dream come true.
Very cool. Thanks, Chanel. Yeah, travel is always a fun topic. Everybody, I think, has some sort of a dream to go somewhere, or they've gone somewhere and they got some cool stories with that. So hopefully, Chanel.
I was really curious. You said you're going to answer it in the traditional sense. What would you have answered for the untraditional sense?
Well,
Not-
it popped to mind. What was the question? If I could go anywhere?
Yeah, where would you go? So I could go spiritual, that could go location, that could go relational.
Sure. And the other thing that had popped into my mind is I would go back in time to when my grandma was still living, and I would go to her at her house.
That's awesome.
There you go. Now you can take this however you want to take it. And that's the thing. That's the beauty of table topics is it could be the traditional sense, like Chanel was saying, answer a question, or you can take it in a whole different direction that somebody didn't think. And that's, I think, the creativity, that's all part of what we're trying to cultivate, that we tend to think in terms of a box. Well, we can get outside of that box a little bit when we answer these questions. Anybody else? Mike, are you ready, or Denny?
I'm ready.
All right. Mike, did you want to pick your own number, 1 to 365, or you want the Google?
333, please.
Oh, 333. All right. 333. Right there. Ooh. Speaking of, can go anywhere you want with this one, Mike. 3 words, 3-word question. What confuses you? Again, one more time. What confuses you?
I think the first thing that popped into my mind is when you email or get an email, like everyone does every week from Miss West. On the bottom of her email, it says the Bernard Shaw quote, which I might mess it up here a little bit, but I'm going to try it anyways. The biggest illusion in communication that it took place. And I find the hardest thing currently in my life is to communicate with several different people with several different backgrounds and specialties, and getting them all to work together for one common goal. And that is a very difficult task for me for the last several years, but it seems to be getting a little more difficult and difficult as time goes on. And I think that's solely because of I didn't really try to communicate before, and now I'm really trying to communicate now. And that would be the hardest thing that I'm currently doing, is communicating.
Good point. Yeah, good point, Mike. Yeah, communication. That's why we're here at Toastmasters, is learn how to communicate. Danny, do you want to go? You want me to go? Or Sarah T? You don't have to. I can't hear you. Danny. Go ahead, Sarah.
I'll pass this current round, maybe go at the end.
Okay. Danny, do you want to go? Or you want me to go? Go ahead. Goat head, she said. All right. I'm going to let Google do the magic. 41. Question number 41 is, if you could instill one piece of advice in a newborn baby's mind, what advice would you give? If you could instill one piece of advice in a newborn baby's mind, what advice would you give? Boy, that would be a tough one. I think the biggest piece of advice I'd give, the baby already knows, is to look at things in the first way. The first way, you look at trees in the first way. The first time you've ever seen trees, the first time you've ever seen sand, the first time you've ever seen your parents' face, the first time you experience anything. I think that is the most important thing that you can do, that we can do, and that we forget, I think, to do, is we take a lot of things for granted. We take locations for granted, people for granted, relationships, spirituality, whatever it is. I think we take a lot of things for granted. And I don't know, I think the baby can teach me more than I could teach it, or advice wise. And it's just amazing. My brother, speaking of newborn babies, my brother just had his first in February, and he's a big old fat cannonball now, big old thing. And they have this little, it's funny, the new stuff that comes out for parents, and they have this little, it's not a swaddle cradle thing. It's like a ledge that comes out right here, and you can put the baby, flip him around so that he or she, but he, in my brother's case, he can look out, and he's just sitting on a chair or a little pedestal thing off your parents' chest. And I thought that's pretty cool. He just kind of sits there, and he's his big fat turkey cannonball self. And he's just all over, wild-eyed, looking at everything. And, you're always trying to make him smile. And sometimes he does, sometimes he cries, you tickle his feet. you know, all that kind of things. And we were joking, my brother and I were joking the other day that when I started tickling his feet, and you just get that kind of weird squishy face, and then he smiles maybe a little bit, and then you stop. And then I said, you know, he's probably thinking, boy, I'm glad that's over. And it just goes to show that everything's new to this newborn, and they may not remember being tickled at their feet the next time it happens. And everything's new. And I think I would learn more from a newborn baby than I think a newborn baby can learn from me. All right, Denny.
Go, Joey. I'm just waiting for my husband to walk in. I know he's going to walk in as soon as I start talking.
All right. Did you want to pick a number? Or you want the Googles?
Google.
The Googles. Let's do it. Google. What do you got? 117. So 117 is, what have you read online recently that inspired you? Again, what have you read online recently that inspired you?
A few years ago, like about 40, I walked into a used child clothing store, and on top of a pile of clothes that was sitting right at the cashier, I guess they had just gotten them in, was a book. And it was an old book. And I walked up to it, and it's almost like it jumped out at me, and I opened it up. There was a signature from the author on it, and it was by someone named Ralph Waldo Trine. And I asked the store owner, oh, how much is this book? And he said, we don't even sell books here. I don't know where that came from, but I don't know, $1. I said, here it is. And I brought it home. Well, that book started me on collecting these old books on something called the New Thought movement. It's happened about 100 years ago, or in that range. Very interesting. So just this morning I was reading Emmett Fox, who was another one of those. It's all the positive thinking kind of spiritual things. Lots of fun and lots of different viewpoints, and very applicable to everything. So I enjoy reading that online this morning.
Very cool. Just kind of serendipitous.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool, Denny. And I think that's everybody, unless Sarah T. You don't have to go. You don't have to go. I feel like we're pulling your leg. And if you want to go, you can either let me do the thing that we've been doing, picking the number, you pick the number, or you can take a question. We'll go easy on you. You can take a question that you already heard, and you can answer that.
What if I were to pick a number and then maybe decide not to answer it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I wasn't anticipating everyone here in this group, you know, for the purposes of it, to be so good at this. So
that's
yeah.
Some of us have been here for a while, and part of this whole process is to just don't let your mind get tight and already fight it before you get it. Just once you see that question, just let your mind free up, and then feel what comes back, you know, whatever that thought is that comes, and just you talk on that. And again, it doesn't have to be a traditional sense. It doesn't have to be in that box. You can talk around it too. There's so many different ways that you can do that. Sarah?
I'd like to add to that. I think there's many of us, our first time out, it was under 30 seconds. Or I think mine was 17 seconds, was my very first time. I got up, I said 2 words and sat back down. And that was it. So we are right there with you, and we're just excited that you're even willing to try it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you. I definitely relate to that, because I feel like for some reason when you're nervous, you just, at least for me, like I talk a lot faster, and then like I say the least possible, and then I'm just done.
Maybe it's a Sarah thing. Is that a Sarah thing?
It might be a Sarah thing.
Okay, so you want to pick your number? Or do you want Google?
Sure, I'll go with number 11.
11. There we go. What's going on with all the 11s and 222s and everything? I like it. Let's see, 11. So here's a question. Do you think crying is a sign of weakness or strength? Again, do you think crying is a sign of weakness or strength?
That's an interesting question. I feel like I want to say that it's a sign of strength, but it really depends on the situation. So, it's a strength in that you're comfortable with showing people your vulnerability. It's a weakness because it's usually coming from a place of hurt. So either way, if someone's able to cry in front of you, I feel like it's them letting their guard down, and that way it is a strength. So 40 seconds.
That's all right. That's good. You did good, Sarah. Yeah, you did good.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I agree. It does depend on the circumstances, right? I mean, you can take somebody, say somebody who's tough, could be male or female, tough, and you never see them cry. And then there's a certain scenario presents itself, and to be able to move, say, a lot of people or influence a lot of people to show that vulnerability can be very powerful versus them continuing to be tough and things like that.
Mhm.
The reverse can be true, where you got somebody that cries all the time. I got a buddy who was a ground screw keeper guy at Fresno State when I played baseball over there. Really, really nice guy, great family. And he cried all the time. And we come to obviously accept that as a male in the 90s doing that. And it can also work in reverse too, right? Somebody who cries all the time, but in a time where you're crying and they're not, and they'll be able to be pretty solid with talking about stuff. So I agree, context, and it can really be a good mover depending on the situation. Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. All right. Well, I think that does it with our table topics. I hope, Sarah T, I hope you had kind of gave you a bit better idea, as Chanel was saying from the last meeting, about what we do. And that's a small part. You didn't get to see a speech today, but you got to see little bits of 2-minute speeches or 1-minute speeches that are more off the cuff versus more of an organized speech itself, which is a different monster compared to what we just did today. And again, those table topics can differ in different ways. We could give you 3 questions. Sometimes our members will give you 3 questions right off the bat and say, which one do you want to answer? And you already know them beforehand, and you can pick whatever one you want. So it could be either more difficult or a little easier as we go. So it's not all of them are like that, just so you know.
Gotcha.
Cool. All right. I will send it back to our general evaluator, Kalani.
Thanks, Joey. I love when we use the roulette for table topics. They're definitely taking us a moment to think about our answers and delivering them in a way that allows us to stay on topic, but still hit those 2-minute marks. I'm going to go ahead and pass the torch to our timer of the day, Miss Denny Mason, being that we don't have any speech to evaluate or any speeches to evaluate.
Everybody did really well today, and thank you for putting up with my first day of doing this particular app. I'm going to give a little report here. So Sarah, you were 107, Sarah D, 107, Heather 120, Kalani 135, Chanel 120, Mike 110, Joey 210, I was 136, and Sarah, I guess, was, as she said, 40 minutes. Very good, everybody. Not 40 minutes, 40 seconds, excuse me. You have to work up to the 40 minutes, Sarah.
You're muted, Kalani.
Yeah, I caught that. Sorry. Thank you, Denny. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our all-counter of the day, Miss Chanel.
Thank you. Actually, everybody did really well today. I did not catch any crutch words from Joey, Denny, Sarah, Heather, or Kalani in your table topics. Kalani, Heather's saying I caught my own, but you can also rat yourself out. Kalani, I did catch when Heather asked you a question after your table topic and you went into answering that. I think there's an element where we can drop the formality, and you had a couple of ums in there. Mike, you did really well. You had 4 ums maybe, which is awesome. So that's super good. And Sarah, you had a few ums and uhs in there, but first time, so no worries at all. For myself, I've been noticing some false starts when I start to speak and kind of some stuttering over things. So I think that's something that I need to work on. That is my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Chanel. I appreciate you taking the time to evaluate when I answer the questions, because I'm buying myself time to think of that instant answer as opposed to thinking about a rant that I'm going to do for about a minute straight. So thank you. Next is going to be our grammarian, Miss Heather.
Thank you, Kehlani. I think we didn't get as many people to say it, although it was a word we don't use in our vocabulary every day, I feel like. But I did catch Kehlani, and then Joey said it twice, kind of patriarchally, and then patriarch. And did I miss anybody that said it? No? Okay. Well, next time, and thank you for trying to slip that in. Again, I know it's a little bit more difficult, but I hope you guys enjoyed that word for the day. Pass it back to Kehlani.
Thanks, Heather. As for my report, I think we had a really well-ran meeting today. We did take a little more time to explain it thoroughly, but I hope that allowed for more clarity on the structure of our Toastmasters meeting today for you, Sarah. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and pass the podium back to our president, Chanel.
Thank you. Good job today, everybody. Special thanks to Joey and Heather for hopping on roles at the last minute they weren't previously assigned to. I think I talked about all of the announcements at the beginning. Yes. Any other announcements that we need to make as far as the board knows? I think we're good. We're not going to be meeting next week on July 5th. We're going to take that off in observance of 4th of July, the day before. So we'll have the week off and then resume at our regular time on July 12th. So we're looking at the agenda for July 12th to get that filled out, hopefully. And then if anybody wants to sign up for a speech.
What about, what was her name? She was gonna do her icebreaker, maybe? Beth?
Yeah, I'll put Beth on there. But there's plenty of space if anybody else wants to sign up for speeches as well. Joey, is baseball over?
Say it again. Sorry.
Is baseball over?
Baseball? Well, no, it's actually not, but I do have more time. Yeah, we're in all-stars now. My son, that was kind of an unexpected addition, which is good, but still practicing throughout the week and stuff like that. You could try put me down maybe for the 12th if you want. Or Sarah D, did you have something? Did you want to jump in?
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm not available on the 12th, so I'll see you guys on the 19th.
Okay. Well, I can be Toastmaster. Denny, Heather, Kalani, Mike, are any of you going to be?
Mike, table topics, Mike?
I'll be on vacation that week, actually.
Okay.
Chanel, you can put me for absolutely anything. I don't know if I'll be here. That's kind of far out for my schedule at the moment. But if I won't make it, as usual, I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, you're good about that. Thank you. I'll put you down for table topics for now.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I don't want to promise anything either because I may be taking that day off, but I can help fill in that day if needed. So I'm going to try and plan to be there though. But I don't want to commit to a speech or anything.
Sure. Okay. And Denny?
I'll be there.
You'll be there? Okay.
Yeah. When is our next board meeting, please?
We did not put one on the calendar.
Okay. I think we should do one soon so that we can make some decisions about our location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. If you guys have 1 minute, we could schedule
So
that.
while you're doing that, Kalani, I just want to say a baby is always a blessing. Always. It's so amazing, all the things that change when a baby comes into the world.
Agreed.
Like
Especially
all of a sudden you can buy a house, you get a new job, relationships are healed. It's the weirdest thing, but babies are always a blessing, always.
lack of sleep.
Lack of sleep. All
I used to be
right,
able to
Don't
sleep
tell her
through a
that, Jill.
train.
Don't tell her that.
I used to be able to sleep through a train going through. But
Mm.
after a baby, oh, it took about a year and a half to recover my sleep back.
Oh, that was fast, Joey. That was good. was
That's
fast.
it. That's it.
You're
And
supposed to
Kalani, I have
retain-
one sister, same thing, same thing. We had a sort of a, whatever it was. Things get better with sisters, they do.
What'd you say, Mike?
But I didn't know you were supposed to gain sleep back like that was, I thought you lost that forever.
I was talking about getting back to sleep.
I feel cheated. I feel somehow cheated.
Okay, board members, Monday is the 4th of July, so I know we don't want to schedule anything then. The 5th or the 6th next week, do any of you have availability?
We could just shoot out an email. Why don't we do that?
Okay, all right, I'll do that. Okay,
Joey, you're gonna like the place.
Yeah. It sounds nice.
It is.
yeah, it's pretty new. Okay.
Good internet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before we close, I wanted to say thank you to all of you for just this opportunity over the past year to be president and grow in my leadership skills in that way. It's been really valuable to me in my professional life and my personal life, and I am really grateful for how patient and understanding and supportive everyone in this club is, and just truly grateful to have each one of you here. So thank you.
And you've done a great job for us, Chanel. Thank you very, very much.
Yes,
Yes, thank you, Chanel.
Thank you, Chanel.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a very stretching for me. Like if you would have told little horribly shy child me who couldn't even talk to people that I would ever one day be the president of anything, no matter how small.
The only thing we're missing here is canned applause. I want to have
Yeah.
canned applause somewhere in our Zoom meetings. Wouldn't that be cool? Like we're really good. Anyway, good job, Chanel. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah,
You kept us going through a tough year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Great.
And Sarah T, did you have any other questions or comments after actually getting to experience a real meeting this week?
No questions. I'm looking forward to the next one. I know there's none next week, I think is what you guys are saying, but the week after. So, very interested in hearing one of those speeches. But I thought today's meeting was awesome. So thank you for running it and being so kind.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else, guys?
Nope.
All right. 1 o'clock on the dot. So have a great 2 weeks. Have a great
All
4th
right.
of July.
Have a happy
See you all.
4th.
Everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Happy 4th.